Where do I even start with this one?
Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
Okay, first let me explain what this channel is about. You'll often hear the phrase art is subjective, and while I do agree with this to some extent, I wanted to create a channel that truly tries to examine what is honestly bad and what is just not my cup of tea. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's dive into Young Justice. Created by Greg Wiseman and broadcast in 2010 on Cartoon Network, Young Justice Season 1 opened to critical and audience praise. Many people were impressed with its ability to balance a light-hearted tone with a unbelievably dangerous superhero world. Sadly though, because it did well with older audiences, the toy selling potential was minimal and the show was cancelled. Okay, let me be clear. When I say Young Justice doesn't work for me, I am very much not counting the first season. In fact, my fondness for the first season very much contributes to my disappointment with subsequent seasons. Young Justice starts off very strong as we're masterfully introduced to 4 members of what will become our superhero team. Each of them are with their mentors, stopping villains on the way to an important event. This brilliantly shows us their personalities, fighting styles, and their relationships with their mentors. These sequences culminate in them gathering in the Hall of Justice, where they will be entering for the first time. This also shows us how the world currently views superheroes and how heroes view themselves. Once we're inside, Speedy, Green Arrow's protege, complains that this is all just a publicity stunt and the League are treating them like children. Their reaction to this gives us a little more about their personalities and also tells us a little bit about their bond and how they relate to each other. Without saying anything, we understand that these kids have been active, superheroes and friends for a while now. All this information given to us in the space of 10 minutes. Now that we know our protagonists a little better, time for the plot. In an effort to prove themselves to their mentors, Robin, Aqualad and Kid Flash decide to go investigate one of the League's leads. This further establishes their skill set and how well they work together as a team. It proves to us that while these kids are still green in some senses, they are capable of working on their own. We get some fun banter, a little science mumbo jumbo, and then we get Superboy. Okay, I don't want to talk about this character too much as he is a minor reason Young Justice doesn't work for me, so let's focus on the good for now. He's introduced very well, and his decision to join the other kids feels natural. We get a little more witty dialogue.
Activate the cloning process.
Pass. Batcave's crowded enough.
And the episode ends with our young heroes putting their foot down and demanding to be acknowledged for the good work they did. And as of this moment forward, we have our team.
Today is the day.
I think this episode perfectly encapsulates why the first season worked so well. It was fun, well-paced, and balanced perfectly between episodic adventures and a wider story. And most importantly, it kept the focus where it needed to be, on the characters and their relationships with each other. And honestly, that's what makes comics so great. That's why they resonate with so many people, young, old, man, women. The characters are always at the forefront of these stories. Sadly, this understanding of the medium would not continue into Young Justice Season 2, nor would the course be corrected in Season 3. I think 90% of my frustration with this series can be summed up with this clip.
I think we all feel a bit guilty we're here enjoying a meal while Dick is so ill.
What else can we do? Dr. Jace asked us to give some space to his oldest friends and family.
That reminds me, who is his family? Is Grayson's father Bruce Wayne?
Look, can we talk about Gretchen?
Did you catch it? Let's watch it again.
That reminds me, who is his family? Is Grayson's father Bruce Wayne?
Look, can we talk about Gretchen? She's the reason Dick's, well, you know. She almost killed Jeff and Mother Box too, using some serious apocalyptic tech. You know she's got something else cooking.
See, right there. Any meaningful character interaction is immediately interrupted by the plot. Okay, let's backtrack. Young Justice Season 2 was finished before the show got cancelled and did air as planned, but like I said, the toy lines weren't selling well, so Mattel pulled their funding. In response to Season 2 airing on Netflix, the show's creator, Greg Wiseman, appealed to the fans to start watching Netflix in an effort to get a Season 3 funded. The appeal was successful, and now we have Young Justice Invasion and Young Justice Outsiders. And what do I think about these seasons? We should have kept our money. The problems start right away in Season 2 with the time jump. We are suddenly 5 years into the future. Robin is Nightwing, Tim Drake is Robin, McGann has a new boyfriend, and there are many new team members.
Bumblebee, B17, Beast Boy, B19, Robin, B20, Blue Beetle, B22.
Now, time jumps are fine if they're utilised properly. They can even be a really good tool in skipping over unnecessary plot points, or just skipping over things that are better explained in other ways. The problem with the time jump in Young Justice is it skips over everything. And this wouldn't be so bad if we got the information back in an emotionally resonant way, or any way at all, but we don't. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's look at some plot points that were left over from Season 1. Dick's desire to be a hero and his desire to not be Batman. Superman's neglect of Superboy and the introduction of Beast Boy. In Season 1, Superman treated Superboy appallingly. His motivations were understandable because the situation for him is basically like having your sperm stolen by the worst ex you ever had. Of course Connor makes him uncomfortable. That, however, is no excuse for ignoring a literal child who could really use your help and guidance just because you didn't ask for him to be born. Sure, Superman has no concrete obligation to this kid, but human decency should be enough to give you pause here. Jump forward to Season 2.
How long will you be gone? However long it takes to clear our names, Connell. But we will be back, little brother.
And it's all better now. Are you serious? A huge part of Superboy's arc in the first season was his desire to be acknowledged by the man he was modelled after. In the final episode, we just saw things beginning to thaw between them, and now they're family and the show has nothing more to say about it. Okay, I wanted to avoid bringing up the comic books too much because the question of adaptational loyalty is pointless considering all the iterations of the characters and storylines that have existed over the years, but just for a point of comparison, let's look at Con's relationship with Clark in the comics. Superman took a while to warm up to his clone here too. I personally saw it as a symbolic portrayal of a generational divide. Clark is the old school Boy Scout and Connor's the young upstart who likes to do things his own way. But eventually they come to see common ground in their desire to protect people, and this culminates in Clark giving Superboy his name. Because believe it or not, he didn't have any other name for a really long time. He was just Superboy. He was very literally born a hero. Clark giving him his Kryptonian name Con-El was him accepting Con into the family, and him getting his Earth name Connor Kent was like giving him a semblance of a normal life. All that relationship development replaced with...
But we will be back, little brother.
Let's move on. One thing many people debate about concerning the character of Dick Grayson is whether or not he should be the heir to the cowl. His struggle to be what Bruce wants him to be, coupled with his desire to be his own man and his own hero, is something that tortures this normally easygoing, happy character. It is touched upon in season 1 with this therapy session.
I don't want to be the Batman anymore.
And it's never brought up again. Same thing with his struggle to become a leader. He just is one now. Much like Con's relationship with Clark, that was an entire season of character building you just threw away.
Let's move on. I thought it was really interesting in how season 1 they hinted that McGann's DNA is how Gar gets his powers. This creates a bond between them that could be really interesting to explore.
And how do they explore that in season 2?
You can just give me another blood transfusion. Wonder what power I get this time. The power to listen to your adopted sister, maybe?
Are you kidding me? This is the only emotional moment we get between them two, and it is the most unnatural dialogue ever with the most forced exposition dump.
Oh, by the way, Gar's mum's dead now.
Oh no, wait, I actually have one worse exposition dump in season 3, but we'll get there. Glacially, we'll get there. Okay, now that they have abandoned the character development they set up in season 1, let's have a look at the things they introduced.
McGann and Connor's breakup, McGann's abuse of her powers, and Aqualad's betrayal. Not to mention all the new team members we have to get to know.
Spoiler alert, we're not going to get to know them.
Think about it. Besides that painful exposition at the beginning, do we really find out anything about Beast Boy in this season? Do we see any progression of his relationship with McGann? The answer is no. No, we don't. We don't get anything about Lagoon Boy beyond his jealousy of Connor. The best we get is Blue Beetle, whose terror at being taken over by the Beetle is done reasonably well, but when it actually happens, this is how he talks.
Why am I still waving? I look like an idiot!
And Tim Drake. Oh, Tim. You deserved so much better.
Tell me one thing about Tim Drake, and you comic book lovers know cheating now. What's his personality like? What's his relationship with Batman like? What's his backstory? How did he become Robin? I wouldn't expect you to answer all of these questions, but I would expect you to at least answer one. Okay, let's leave the new characters alone for now and get back to the old ones.
Now, to be honest, I didn't like Connor and McGann's relationship. I thought it was boring and annoying at best and unhealthy at worst. But at least the show put some effort and time into developing it so it would feel natural when they got together. And the most we get to explain a reconciliation is a door closing behind them, asking us to imagine what they talked about.
And they're back together in season 3, and it is never spoken of again.
Now, onto this abuse of power. We do get a little more explanation with her destruction of Aqualad's mind, but her guilt over this is quickly forgotten in favour of moving on to the next plot point. Wouldn't this have been a great thing for Connor and McGann to talk about behind that closed door?
But nope. No time for meaningful character development here. Gotta get back to that plot. Now, to be fair to Young Justice, it's not the most character-barren show ever. There are good things in it. Artemis's confusion over choosing a happy life with Wally over the thrill of the job is done pretty well.
And Roy's intervention is quite possibly my favourite scene in the whole show. It's the closest they can get to addressing the drug problems this character had in the comics in a show that children watch. Despite not mentioning addiction, it does go a great way to showing viewers that sometimes loved ones can't be helped because they don't want to be, and it takes something monumental to change that.
Sadly though, these moments are few and far between. Aqualad's double agent persona came close to being one of them, but again, the emotion of the situation was pretty much ignored in favour of the plot.
I cannot comprehend this betrayal, Counter. How could you? I admit to being conflicted, Father.
Oh, really? Well, if you were feeling that way, maybe you should have shown us! Okay, I think I've gone enough into why the writing for the show is objectively bad, not just not my cup of tea bad. I can understand liking it if you're a more plot-driven fan than you are a character-driven one, but even then you have to admit that important information was skipped over and plot points necessary for the show's cohesion were ignored because they didn't fit into the story the writers wanted to tell. Anyway, let's leave that to one side for now and talk about the stuff that didn't work for me.
Superboy. This character was a snorefest from beginning to end. Instead of the cocky, flirtatious explosion of personality that was the Young Justice comics Superboy, we get an angsty teen with daddy issues.
Your shirt's fine. Everyone's shirt is fine.
How original. And before you accuse me of being a comic book purist, I saw the show well before I read the comics.
I honestly just don't know what they were going for with this character. They didn't even explore his conflict over being part Luthor. Even the live-action Titans is getting that right.
I gave him the idea to use his own DNA to create you.
You're saying I'm bad?
Oh, your turn is coming.
There's little to nothing to him beyond his anger issues and desire for Superman to like him, and that is all fixed come season 2, so there's nothing more to say about it. What a waste of a truly complex and lovable character.
Oh, how old are you?
Excuse me? How old are you?
Old enough. Okay, babe, hit me up.
McGann and Connor's relationship. Like I said, this was written well. I at least get why McGann is into him. Less sure why he's into her, but each to their own.
I guess a lot of my distaste comes from the fact that I don't like either of these characters, so both of them together are super annoying.
Plus, when they're in school and the whole protective boyfriend thing kicks in, all I could do was roll my eyes and say, fucking really? On top of angst and daddy issues, you had to add that to the YA mix. The plot.
It's far too convoluted.
We have the light, and then the aliens, then the government, and what's Lex up to, what's Raz up to, how do the Beatles tie into all this? Every explanation just raises more questions, and it gets even worse in season 3.
Oh yeah, remember how I was telling you about season 3 having the worst exposition dump in history?
Well, I found this clip on YouTube, and it made me notice something that I didn't see the first time I watched the show. Batman and the Bat family are explaining their counterplan to Wonder Woman, and the whole thing lasts 5 minutes. I'm not joking, a solid 5 minutes of nothing but characters explaining the plot. That's not just not for me bad, that is bad writing. The only character moment we get is Wonder Woman asking them all if they're willing to lie under oath. Now, who is Wonder Woman anyway? I mean, I know who she is, and I'm pretty sure many of you watching the show do too, but those who don't read the comics and only know her by name and reputation, can you tell me any defining characteristics? And what about the Bat family? There sure are a hell of a lot of members. How do they relate to each other? How do they react when one of their own is sick and possibly dying? I have no idea, because we gotta get to that plot.
Son of a... You're all working together! I can explain. Oh, I'm sure it is. And I'm sure you can. But it doesn't stop there. Or start there, for that matter.
In conclusion...
I think Young Justice is ultimately a victim of its own ambition, and a severe problem with the writers not caring enough about the characters they're writing about. And whether you're a plot person or a character person, you have to admit that people are usually interested in people. It's hard to care about a story when you don't care about who it's happening to.
And that's why Young Justice doesn't work for me. Well, that was a mouthful for my first video, wasn't it? But I'm really glad I got that off my chest, because these are feelings I've been having about this show for a while now. If you like what I do, I'm planning to continue, so please go over to Patreon where you can become one of my favourite characters, and get Patreon-only rewards like early access to videos, Patreon-only videos, and the chance to decide what kind of content goes up on this channel. Alternatively, please like, comment, subscribe, visit my social media. I will be leaving links in the description box below. Please help me grow this channel and make as much content as possible. And speaking of content, I wonder if there's another generally loved piece of current media that didn't work for me.